We'll try that again. Good evening to everyone, and welcome to this evening. It's a special night. It's the inaugural council meeting for the 2022 to 2026 term for East Gwillimbury Council. My name's Thomas Webster, and I'm proud to serve as CAO for the town. We'd like to start with a land acknowledgement, and I'd like to ask Deputy CAO, Mark Valchich. And now, Mark, while you're making your way up here, I know it's a long walk, but I'm going to just say a few words about you as well. And council, I think, can be seated. So Mark joined us over 10 years ago. And he's a friend and an associate, and he started off as treasurer, and he did a terrific job in ensuring that our programs and services are actually the most cost-effective in York Region. We have the lowest taxes and no debt, and a lot of that is a responsibility of this gentleman right here tonight. And most recently, Mark assumed the role as Deputy CAO and has been in charge of business transformation and modernization, and led our COVID initiatives over the last 3 years. And he's done just a tremendous job doing that. Can't thank Mark enough, and so we're proud to have him deliver the land acknowledgement this evening.
Thank you very much, CAO Webster. The town of East Gwillimbury recognizes and acknowledges the lands originally used and occupied by the First Peoples of the Williams Treaty, First Nations, and other Indigenous peoples, and we thank them for sharing this land. We would also like to acknowledge the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation as EG's closest First Nation community, and recognize the unique relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and the environmental stewards of these lands, and we join them in these responsibilities.
Thanks very much, Mark, and I'd like to congratulate the mayor and members of council and council-elect that are here this evening, and it's a night to tribute you. And we look forward to this, the next 4 years, with a lot of optimism for some positive outcomes. Before we proceed to the national anthem, I would like to just thank the guard that walked in, council and council-elect. They did a terrific job. RCMP. I wasn't aware that our fire chief, Rob McKenzie, had dual talents. He was one of our pipers, and we did have full-time employees of our fire services as well involved in that. I'd like now to introduce another hidden talent in our organization. I've been finding this out all week, is Deputy Fire Chief Ryan Jago. Ryan joined the town in 1998 as a paid-on-call volunteer firefighter. At that time, we were almost exclusively paid-on-call volunteer, paid-on-call firefighters, and after 2010, we moved into a composite force. The deputy has worked before that with York Region Emergency Medical Services, and I thought that was enough of a background until I realized that he was also a member of a Cappella group, and the Cappella group is now going to join us this evening to sing the national anthem. Thank you very much for that. I'm not even going to mention that Toronto is playing Pittsburgh at the very same time this evening. I'd like to have a couple of special acknowledgements before we move through with the formal proceedings right now. I understand we have Inspector Jim Kilby from York Regional Police here this evening. I think he's serving as the head of our District 1 right now. Inspector, if you'd stand and be acknowledged, we'd appreciate it. Keeping our community safe for us. Thank you so much. And we also have another bit of a surprise tonight, because I was informed the mayor from Bradford West Gwillimbury was here. And I said, oh, geez, Rob Kreffer. And just to let you know, there was an election. And please, Mayor, stand. I have not met you yet, but I think it's Mayor-elect. Have you had your inaugural yet? Not yet. So it's Mayor-elect James Leduc, and thank you very much for showing up and being with us this evening. Not that Bradford West Gwillimbury is confusing with East Gwillimbury when we're all out on the in the Ontario scene. Now I'd like to introduce a special person, and we're very proud of our staff team here. And tonight is about our elected officials, but I have to spend a minute on our staff team. So the next person I'm going to introduce is our municipal clerk. So I was at the Remembrance Day ceremony recently, and one of our retired clerks, Harold Brown, who lives in our community, actually came up and said, hey, Tom, who's the clerk now? And I said, oh, it's a wonderful young lady named Tara. And I don't think he had met you yet. And this is what society and modern life is all about. So Tara joined us in 2015 on a public administration co-op program, and where she was completing her certificate. And, you know, she came as a co-op student, and 7 years later, she had worked and did well, and she became a committee clerk, and then she became deputy clerk, and she's now the clerk of the town of East Gwillimbury. And we're really proud of stories like that here. And she became municipal clerk not too long ago in September of 2021. And this election was a bit of a challenge. This election was the first that we had that we didn't have people all showing up, putting an X next to a box and having it manually counted. We had online, we had advanced polls, we had a lot of things going on. And so I had double fingers crossed on election night. And you know what, her team and Tara did a terrific job, and we thank her for that. And so Tara is gonna formally kick off this evening by introducing the council meeting.
Thank you very much, CAO Webster. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to call the inaugural meeting of the 2022 and 2026 term of council to order at this time. I will now call upon the CAO, Tom Webster, to introduce staff, committee chairs, and proceed with the introduction of the mayor-elect. Mr. Webster?
So firstly, thank you, Tara, for that. I would like to introduce our staff team, and we're not going to go through everybody, so you don't have to worry, folks, about being here all evening, okay? Now, the mayor on Thursday will be going to the regional council inaugural, where 21 people speak as a minimum, so that one's going to be a little while. But this evening, we're here to first introduce some of our committees of councils that are here this evening being represented. Jeanette Champ, Chair of Arts and Culture Advisory Committee, if you could stand, and we'll maybe do a joint applause at the end. Tom Horsley, the Chair of the Queensville Sharon Community Group, is here as well. Bill Potts. Now, Bill, you got 3 hats on, I think, because you're the North Union Committee Chair Group, and you're also the chair or president of our EG 55 Plus Club, which is, by the way, just having a great participation. It's got a great venue out at Sports Complex, and Bill's doing a terrific job with that. Our friend Terry Russell is here, who's the chair of the Broadband Working Group. So Terry, if people have a problem with the internet, should they come and see you this evening? Okay, there you go. And Loretta Whiteman, who's the chair of our Santa Claus Parade Committee and former chair of our library board for many years. So maybe we could have a round of applause for these folks. And I would like to just acknowledge our senior management team that's here this evening. And these are the folks, if they could just stand. while I'm saying a few words about you. And so if you'd be kind enough to stand up collectively. These are the folks that working under council direction and have really done a terrific job, programs and services through the COVID recovery. And, you know, I can't thank that team enough. And I think our elected officials that have been here for years know what a terrific job this team does. So I'd like to have them acknowledged as well. So now we move to the folks we're here with tonight and that we're here for tonight. And every 4 years, these individuals have to put their families, their lives, and their careers on hold and go through an election. And it's quite a trying time. And, you know, I feel fortunate that I have a job where I show up every day and I work hard and hopefully I stay employed. But these folks every 4 years have to put their political careers literally, as I said, on the line. The first person we're going to introduce tonight is a special person, Mayor Virginia HACKSON. And I know Virginia's story quite well, so I don't have to read my notes. And Virginia's story for me started with her family being raised in Scarborough, but I won't go back that far. And I do know that when she got hired by Newmarket, and she was hired by Newmarket at the beginning of her career, and she worked at their first pool in Newmarket. And it's quite fitting where we're heading in this term, and we'll get there. And she was sort of the aquatic supervisor. They brought her in a year before the pool opened, and she did such a terrific job, and she was really proud of that. Well, that turned into a 3-decade-long career at Newmarket as a staff person and leader in their Parks and Recreation department. And after that, she retired. Then she got busy. Okay, so then Virginia, she became public school trustee. She reminded me today that she got her first election, it came down to pulling a name out of a hat. And it was her job to pull the name out of the hat, but actually she let her opponent or her other candidate, and her other candidate pulled her name out of the hat. And I do know that Virginia was first elected to council in 2000. So she's been on council serving for 22 years. In 2010, she ran for mayor, and she's now the longest serving mayor in town of East Gwillimbury history, entering her 4th term of council. During the time here, she has been on the Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority board and was chair there for 10 years. And as well, she was on the Police Services Board for many years and chair there as well. So we're ensured of always being, having environmental sustainability and community safety as key initiatives here. At the York Region, she serves on the broadband strategy, housing, York Region, amongst other committees. I asked Virginia recently in a conversation what she was the most proud of in her time at Newmarket. Because if you spend 30 years, you would think that you've got to have a couple of key things. And she actually said, here's 2 that I think I'm most proud of. Number 1 was their seniors center. And you know what, on Davis Drive now, I think it was the former Beaver Lumber that's now been repurposed many times, and Virginia was instrumental in that. And the other key initiative that she's very proud of is the Mulock High School Theater. And she was a driving force in doing what was quite unique at the time. And only in Timmins was it built. And she led to a theater and high school being developed together. And I know that's a theme that resonates with this council as well. She's been widely recognized with a recipient of the Queen's Jubilee Medal and Diamond Jubilee Medal, and her in celebration of Women Award and the Rural Government Award. And I'd like now to invite Municipal Clerk Tara Lajevardi to administer the declaration of office to our head of council for the next term, Mayor Virginia HACKSON.
Thank you, CAO Webster. For this portion of tonight's meeting, I will invite Mayor-elect HACKSON to join me at the round table in the lower area so that we can administer the declaration of office, following which we will be presenting the mayor-elect with the chain of office as well as the gavel. For this portion of tonight's meeting, I'm going to recite the declaration of Mayor HACKSON and have Mayor complete her oral declaration. Mayor-elect, please repeat after me. I, Virginia HACKSON, having been elected to the office of mayor in the town of East Gwillimbury, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to be the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if it made under oath. Wonderful. I will now ask that you please complete the signature. Have a seat, please. I'm now going to present the mayor with a chain of office and ask that Deputy Clerk Andrew Walcom join me in presenting the mayor with the gavel. Mayor HACKSON. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor HACKSON. At this point, you'll be escorted back to your seat, Mayor HACKSON, and we will proceed with the remainder of the meeting. Yes, absolutely, it's yours.
Thank you, Tara, for a terrific job there. And we always have a little story at EG, so I can tell this one. So Harold Brown used to make the gavel every term. And we've been very fortunate not to have raucous council meetings where the mayor has to slam the gavel down and call the meeting to order. So I think we've got a bit of a supply of those gavels now. That's one of the few times I've actually seen you hit it, Madam Mayor. So we're in good shape there. And I'm going to take a step back to correct Katherine McManus as well, our second piper. I didn't acknowledge you, and you did a terrific job with Rob tonight, so thank you very much. So now what we're going to do is move into our elected officials, the councillors. And we have a ward system here, and we're going to go through it by ward. So I'd like to have each councillor, as I introduce them, maybe stand. And then I think what we're doing is we're going to have 6 councillors sworn in at once, if that's okay. If anyone prefers an individual sworn in, we could arrange it. So I'm going to start this evening with Councillor Laura Lee Carruthers. So Councillor Carruthers has been a resident of Hull and Landy for more than 25 years. This is Councillor Carruthers' second term on our Town of East Gwillimbury Council. And for the 15 years before joining council here, she was an elected public school trustee. She has served as the school's budget chair, and for many years oversaw a budget in excess of $1.5 billion. That's a little more than we spent. She is also a former vice president of the Ontario Public School Boards Association. Laura Lee has been actively involved as a volunteer in the East Gwillimbury community, including with the East Gwillimbury Public Library Board, the East Gwillimbury Advisory Committee, Environmental Advisory Committee, and the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. Thank you, Laura Lee, and congratulations on returning to council. Next, I would like to move to your ward mate, Councillor Terry Foster. So, Terry, if you could please stand. This, as well as Councillor Foster's second term as a councillor with the town of East Gwillimbury. Terry is a lifelong resident of Hull and Landing and brings more than 35 years' experience with the town's East Gwillimbury Emergency Services, where he retired in 2016. He also brings 20 years' experience from the automotive industry. First elected in the 2018 term, Terry served as chair of Legal and Counsel Support Services and worked as council liaison with the Heritage Advisory Committee, the Active Transportation and Trails Advisory Committee, the Ward 1 community groups in Hull and Landing and River Drive Park, and the East Gwillimbury Car Show Group. He has also been involved in many community efforts over the years, including the EG Think Rink Committee, teaching fire safety for Red Cross babysitting courses, and fundraising in support of South Lake Regional Health Care Center, muscular dystrophy, myoblast for muscular dystrophy, MS, and lupus. Congratulations, Terry, on returning. If I now could ask Brian Johns to rise. And so Council-elect Brian Johns is serving for his first time as councillor for East Gwillimbury. Brian was born and raised in East Gwillimbury in attended Mount Albert Public School while growing outside of Holt. He and his family now live in Sharon. A businessman and an entrepreneur, Brian serves as the CEO of Water Ambassadors Canada, a charity that works to deliver access to clean water international to those in need. For 15 years prior, Brian was managing partner in Vince's Market chain and is excited about bringing his business and entrepreneurial experience to council. A Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal recipient for his work in the community, Brian has supported numerous causes from Easter Seals to entrepreneurial mentorship and incubation projects. Congratulations on joining the team. I would like now to have Councillor Tara Roy DiClemente. Tara is a veteran as well. She was first elected to council in 2010, is entering her fourth term as councillor with the town of East Gwillimbury. During her time in office, she has served as liaison to a number of town committees, including most recently the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee. Tara has been a public library board trustee and served on the board of the EG Chamber of Commerce. She also worked on the Provincial Task Force for Economic Development. A champion of the Health and Active Living Plaza, which is currently under construction in Queensville, and the town's Thinking Green standards. Tara also brings with her knowledge from her time in the publishing industry, where she was responsible for multi-million-dollar sales, as well as experience from her role as a licensed real estate sales representative. Congratulations, Councillor Roy DiClemente. We now move to Ward 3. Councillor Scott Crone. Born and raised in Mount Albert, Councillor Scott Crone has called East Gwillimbury home for most of his life. Now in his second term of council, Scott Crone brings 20 years of corporate business experience, primarily in the insurance industry. Prior to joining council last term, Scott was instrumental in attracting the Duca Credit Union to Mount Albert. Scott has championed many local causes and has been on the volunteer board member for the Alzheimer's Society of York Region since 2016, and he is currently board chair of that very worthwhile initiative. Congratulations, Councillor Crone. And then we move to Councillor-elect Susan Leahy. This is Councillor Susan Leahy's first term on council. She is a successful business owner, an award-winning certified appraiser of Asian art, and a published author. Susan is multilingual and, in addition to Mandarin Chinese, has a working knowledge of French and German. As an active volunteer in Mount Albert and throughout East Gwillimbury, Susan has served on the following town boards and committees: the inaugural chair of the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee, a board member of the EG Public Library, Mount Albert Downtown Revitalization Committee. Thanks very much and congratulations, Susan. I will now pass the rest of the evening over to our clerk, Tara Lajevardi.
Thank you, CAO Webster. I'm now going to call upon all members of council to stand to take the declaration of office in a unison. In order to do this, I will start on the left-hand side and ask that each member state their name individually, following which I will guide members of council through the declaration and reading through the script that is before you. In order to do that, I will also ask that you please put the mics on so individual members of the public can hear you as well as our live stream. So please stand. And I will start by asking that please, from the left-hand side, Susan, please state your name, and then following through, we will end at the end of the dais.
Susan Leahy.
Terry Foster.
Tara Roy DiClementi.
Scott Crone.
Lauralee Carruthers.
Brian Johns.
Wonderful. If I can have everybody repeat the words after me in unison, that would be great. Having been elected
Having been elected
to the office of Ward Councillor
to the office of Ward Councillor
in the municipality of the town of East Gwillimbury,
in the municipality of the town of East Gwillimbury,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability.
exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt, or improper manner.
corrupt, or improper manner.
I will disclose
I will disclose
any pecuniary interest,
any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
In
in
accordance
accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III.
to His Majesty King Charles III.
And I make this solemn promise
And I make this solemn promise
and declaration
and declaration
conscientiously,
conscientiously,
believing it to be true,
believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is
and knowing that it is
of the same force and effect
of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
Thank you very much. I will now ask everybody to be seated. There is a pen placed before you on the dais, and I would ask that individual members of council sign the signature of declarant, following which our Deputy Clerk, Andrew Walcom, will collect the declarations. Once that is completed, I will sign and conduct the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Tara Lajevardi, Municipal Clerk of the Town of East Gwillimbury, proclaim that the Council of the Town of East Gwillimbury for the 2022 to 2026 term of council, elected on October 24, 2022, is now organized and officially in office. I wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate every member of council here tonight. I look forward to working with you in this new term. Through you, Madam Mayor, I will now pass the chair over to you and invite you to deliver your inaugural address and introduce the members of East Gwillimbury Council. You can use the mic at the dais. You do. Oh, absolutely. Just bear with us for a moment. We will obtain the speaking notes for tonight. You can do it wherever you think.
We could have had a stretch for a moment, couldn't we? It's truly an honor and a privilege to stand before you tonight as your mayor. To the residents of East Gwillimbury who've supported me with their votes since 1993, let me say that any successes I have had, I share with you, as it is you who have appointed me to a seat at the table to be your voice. I will not forget this, and we will work hard for the next 4 years. Our last term of council certainly had its challenges. We were only 17 months in when the COVID-19 pandemic was declared. At the same time, East Gwillimbury experienced unprecedented growth in population and construction, resulting in an increased demand for programs, services, infrastructure, and was continued to be at all-time high. And throughout the term, we managed to continue to support our community, deliver services, and operate efficiently. This speaks to the excellent staff we have supporting our council. It was most certainly an unprecedented time for all of us, and one that has impacted and shaped the way we do business going forward, for sure. The next 4 years, without question, will be pivotal in shaping the history of the town of East Gwillimbury. Our changing landscape and growth is one of the greatest opportunities facing us, and yes, one of our biggest challenges too. New residents are moving into our community from neighboring municipalities, out of province, and from around the world, providing us the opportunity to welcome and embrace diversity in our community. The 7 of us before you tonight have just returned from consulting extensively with the voters who have put their confidence in us, their council team, to guide the town for the next 4 years. Collectively, we have thousands of conversations fresh on our minds about what concerns our residents. And it will be our responsibility over the next 4 years to address those issues and move forward in ways that serve the best interests of the town and our citizens. This will be one of our guiding principles. Today, we stand in the middle of the growth currently underway, while we've known in some cases for more than 25 years that growth was coming, and we have been planning for it. We are now seeing the actual changes in our landscape. Our challenge in the 4 years ahead will be to continue to be responsibly managing this growth while moving forward on a number of key priorities. Identified as the fastest growing municipality in Canada, my personal priority will continue to be one of strong fiscal responsibility. We entered this term having our financial house in order with a debt-free status and a history of low taxes. Business development will be an essential part of our growth, and we must continue to work with partners such as the East Gwillimbury Chamber of Commerce and our Economic Development Advisory Committee to ensure East Gwillimbury remains a self-sufficient community and not a bedroom town to the GTA. One of the top priorities for this term of council will be to continue to work with our partners to create employment opportunities and service our employment lands to attract businesses to our community. We have certainly had success in this area with the current construction underway of the new Loblaw distribution center that, when complete, will employ 1,000 new jobs. One job for every 2 residents is and must be achieved to ensure our vision for the future of East Gwillimbury is met. Other essential initiatives include the ongoing construction of our new Health and Active Living Plaza, which will bring an aquatics facility, program space, and state-of-the-art library to our town. Continue to explore opportunities for the 5 acres of space behind the sports complex, the Mount Albert and Holland Landing downtown revitalization projects, the expansion of the York-Durham sewage solution plant, which will allow us to meet the growth and housing needs. Working with all partners to implement the recently announced provincial initiative, More Homes Built Faster Act, will provide solutions for affordable housing. East Gwillimbury has a long history as a character community. We have a walkway here at the Civic Center that has each attribute etched into the concrete, and we have the flags on display here in the chambers. Sorry, we have this display in chambers. It is my goal to strengthen our commitment to these attributes and truly talk the walk. I'm honored to be working for the next 4 years with an exceptional group of people with varied backgrounds of education and experience and extensive leadership qualities. Each member of council ran positive campaigns. I am confident that we will be forthcoming in expressing views and opinions and welcome the productivity and respectful debates we will have on issues that come before us. While each of us has only one vote, collectively we will be working towards consensus and collaboration to move our agenda forward. A positive team approach, something that was spoken about many times during the election process and is what we lead us to the positive results. I would now like to thank our CAO, Mr. Webster, for leading our incredible staff team not only over the last term, but the many prior years as well. Tonight, I am starting my 21st year on council, my 4th term as your mayor. During this time and everything we have accomplished, my faith in town staff continues to grow strong. We are so fortunate to have a highly professional, qualified, and motivated staff team, and I thank all our staff for their expertise and assistance working with council to move forward key initiatives for our residents. I also recognize and thank the members of our senior management team, some who are joining us here tonight. Each have an extensive and impressive list of credentials, and council benefits from their knowledge, expertise, and their guidance. I look forward to continuing our work together for EG. And to my family and friends, my partner Joe, Sally, thank you for your continued support throughout my journey. It takes a strong foundation to succeed, and my family is part of my foundation. And to my mom, who has been with me for every step of my career and at every inaugural meeting, my #1 fan. Earlier this month, we celebrated her 100th birthday, And I know if she could have come, she would most certainly be here with us tonight. I know she's celebrating and supporting me from her home. Thank you, Mom, for always believing in me and encouraging me to reach higher. As I close, I'd like to speak about the legacy we are leaving behind, whether it be elected officials or staff. I often share this quote as it is very meaningful. In the words of Warren Buffett, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Simply put, it is like the person that plants a sapling. They tend to the tree, protect it, and help it grow with little hope of seeing it to maturity. But future generations will. They will relax in its shade and play in the fallen leaves. As a council and staff team, while we work through issues in front of us today, allow us through teamwork, through careful planning for a future we may never see. Lay the foundations for the future of East Gwillimbury. And let that be the council's legacy. Thank you. And now we'll hear from each member of our council, starting with Councillor Roy DiClemente.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did want to actually take this opportunity to recognize a couple more people in the audience. And I would like to start with former Councillor Joe Persichini, who's here in the audience. It was my honor to serve for 2 terms with him and in this last term as my ward mate, and it was a true pleasure to work with him, and he's here this evening. And Mayor-elect from Bradford, West Gwillimbury, brought 2 of his buddies. Raj Sandhu and Jonathan Scott are also members they're current members of Bradford West Gwillimbury's council, and they've been re-elected. I think they've got some new positions going on there, but they're also here in the audience, and I wanted to thank them for taking the time to be here with us. So I'm sure most of you here know that it takes a lot of work to be a candidate in an election, but it's not just work, it takes a team, and every one of us here on council has one. It simply can't be done alone, and there are a few of my teammates here tonight. They're the ones who catch me when I stumble and cheer me when I shine. I call her my little sister, but she's taller than I am, my sister Rebecca, and my amazing in-laws, Tony with an I and Tony with a Y. Thank you. My husband Michael has been my life's co-pilot for 25 years. He's unfortunately covering off parent-teacher interviews tonight, as he so often has to pick up our household slack as I'm pulled in other directions. When I consider the many blessings I have been given, Michael and our children are naturally at the top of that list. My kids, Evan, Jason, and Maya, often get a front seat to my work as a counselor, whether it's being quiet when I'm on the phone or when I get sidetracked into a conversation at an event. All 3 of them are skilled at the art of what I called quiet loitering. And as they have grown up, knowing only my job in the community, each of them helps support me in their own way. Maya, who's 10, is always ready to join me at a community event and often waits up way past her bedtime, reading, so she can say goodnight to me when I have an evening meeting. Jason is thoughtful and compassionate. He cheers me when he sees a tangible community outcome and encourages me when he knows I am frustrated. And Evan loves to challenge my thinking and help hone my arguments. He knows just what to say to make my head explode. Like, do we really need another library? We already have 2. And then he pushes me to see every side of an issue. Evan, Jason, and Maya, thank you for your help and support as I work to make a difference in our community. As for making a difference, I would like to congratulate my fellow members of council this evening, and to say that I look forward to working with each of you as we chart our course for our town. I'm incredibly proud of the results our town has achieved over the past 3 terms of council, and I look forward to leveraging our existing partnerships for continued success. Of course, we will also forge new relationships to foster community, improve upon our quality of place, and protect what makes East Gwillimbury special. We are stronger together, and it's going to be so awesome. The town staff are vital to our council's success, and if we continue to ask for their best, I'm confident the staff team will continue to demonstrate innovation, ingenuity, and a passion for serving our community. As we embark on the adventure of the next 4 years, I want to once again reiterate my pledge to the residents of East Gwillimbury. I will strive to represent you with energy, creativity, professionalism, and integrity. It has been said that true leaders don't respond to the trumpet call of self-promotion, but rather to the hushed whispers of those they serve. For the next 4 years, I will keep listening intently for those whispers. Thank you.
And now, Councillor Crone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council colleagues, town staff, and honored guests. I am delighted to be here today and grateful for the trust that you have once again placed in me. And I would like to thank the campaign volunteers who helped me during the last few months. You were generous with your time and your passion for making EG a better place. And I would like to thank my wife, Selena, and daughter, Kayla, for putting up with all the ups and downs of public life. And unfortunately, they couldn't be here tonight. They're under the weather, but they did text me and say that they are watching this being streamed on TV, on YouTube rather, and they said I look good. So the resolution must be great. You know, I could not do this job without the love and support of my family. So I love you both as you watch. And I would like to congratulate my ward mate, Susan Leahy, on her successful campaign. 4 years ago, I told this room that EG had not seen the last of you, and I was right. Here you are, so congratulations. I would also like to thank Christine Glenn for running a great campaign and putting her name forward as a candidate, and I know we haven't seen the last of her either. And I would be remiss if I did not thank my former ward mate, Kathy Morton, for her 22 years of devotion to public service. So thank you, Kathy, for everything you have done for our town. And I congratulate the rest of council, my council colleagues, on your acclamations and your victories. Well done. 4 years ago, I challenged the council of the day to reject the rancor that had beset so many other municipal councils in our province. As well, I encouraged spirited debate and to remember that while we were elected by our respective wards, we were accountable to all of the residents of EG. And on reflection of the past 4 years, I was proud of how we conducted ourselves. We functioned well during challenging times. We disagreed without being disagreeable, and respect and decorum were our North Star. Election time is for individual achievement, but now the campaign is over and we are members of a team. We have been sent here to conduct the people's business. Our collective success will be the success of East Gwillimbury. In 4 years' time, we will be judged on what we were able to achieve in our mandate. And I know that sometimes we will differ in our votes, but we will not differ in our hopes for this great town. The promise of East Gwillimbury is depending on us. Thank you.
Councillor Crothers.
Thank you. Being elected by acclamation is such a huge honor and not one that I take lightly. I am so appreciative to the community of Holland Landing for putting their trust in me once again. The next 4 years on council will be some of the most important in East Gwillimbury's history as we face unprecedented growth and work to build a community that everyone can be proud of for decades and even centuries to come. It's going to be so important that we get this right. The plans that this council puts in place over the next 4 years will not only be our legacy, but will shape the entire future of our town. I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues at this table to build a community that other municipalities look up to as an example of smart, forward-looking community development. The residents of East Gwillimbury have put their trust in us to stand up for and deliver the things that matter to them, the things that make a real difference in their daily lives, to keep affordability balanced with quality programs and services, I know that we can do that. This council will face two major challenges over the next 4 years: provincially mandated growth and the increasing effects of climate change. Two challenges that are closely interwoven and are crucial to get right for our future, not only for us, but for our children and for our grandchildren. I have faith in the people you have elected to work together to plan and make decisions that will guide us to a future that is not only bright and positive, but also sustainable. Once again, I thank the residents of Ward 1 for allowing me to serve them on council for another 4 years. Thank you so much.
Councillor Brian Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to start by acknowledging a few people in the room and one person who isn't. I'll start with my dad, Doug Johns. He passed away January of this year. He would have loved to have been here and see this, but he is here seeing this. But he was a big part of the community as well, and I see Vaughn Molt sitting over there, but I think of my dad's service in the community over the years, and his picture hangs in the Lions Hall in that back room there, and I think maybe late 70s, early 80s, and yeah, the connection to the community and what he helped forge is, I'm really sitting here because of the things that he did and that family did. So just want to acknowledge that. To my stepmom, Susan, who also, thank you very much for making it here today. We had to juggle some schedules to make it happen, and I'm glad that you could make it here as well. So thank you very much. To my mom and my stepdad, so my mom is one of my biggest champions. She had 2 knee surgeries, and she must have been out knocking on doors with me every day. And I would get the mother eye roll every time I said, we can do one more street. And but just thank you for being there. Thank you for believing in me, and thank you for all that you do. To my stepdad, so he signed on to be my sign chair. And one of the first few days in the campaign, I knocked on a neighbor's door a couple streets over. And I went through my elevator pitch, and he had lived there for 30 years. And, I'd been in the community growing up in Mount Albert, going to, the grocery store when I was 15. And you get to know a lot of people. And Mary Angela and I, we've lived in Sharon for the past decade, and, with the store. And he says to me, I don't know who you are. He's like, I'll look at the pamphlet, but thanks for coming by. And that was one of the nicer door shuts. But I turned around and I walked back. I was like, okay, I need to run a sign campaign because I need to get my name out there. There's no incumbency. And so I don't know what my stepdad knew what he was signing up for, but we just kept talking to people and signs kept coming. And so thank you for everything that you did, because it was a difference maker. To my wife, you are everything that is good in our lives. So thank you. My 2 kids are here tonight. Luca's being great and Victoria's being great. Hi, Victoria. I'm not making faces at our bagpipers. I'm making faces at my little daughter. Hi, Victoria. There you go. And so thank you for all that is good in our lives. Thank you to the voters too. So special conversations at the door with voters. Over the course of that campaign, as Madam Mayor called out, we had great conversations. And so it gives us a great mandate to be able to be here and being able to do the people's business, as Councillor Cohn said. And so I think that, one, I want to say that the privilege of having the opportunity to serve in this role is not lost on me. And I've sat in council chambers many times before, but sitting here, there's very much a different weight to the position. And so I think that some of the conversations that that I've personally had, and I know that many others have had as well, is that there are opportunities ahead in looking at water and how we are serviced, and there are opportunities, and I know that this isn't within our purview, but the fact is that I feel very strongly, based on conversations with residents, that we need to be champions for our schools and getting shovels in the ground, both elementary and at that high school level. And so working with our partners at those different levels is something that I'm looking forward to championing. And then as well as our mayor spoke about, the opportunity to build is a positive one. And I think that opportunity through diversifying our tax base and doing so along the corridors, as we are already set to lead with. We see the exciting things happening on Woodbine, and I think that what is to come in the term ahead, along the Green Lane corridor is something that I know that from conversations at the door, that our residents are very much championing to have that diversified tax base, both commercial and industrial and multi-residential. So with that, I want to just come back and say thank you again to my family. Thank you again to this council table. It looks like it's going to be an exciting term. And thank you to the voters for putting your trust in me. So thank you.
Councillor Susan LaHaye.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, special guests, family, friends, and neighbors. It is a joy and an honor to be here. I have visited council chambers many times, attending author readings hosted by the Friends of the Library, presenting a budget to council while serving as chair of the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee, and sitting in the audience as an engaged resident. But tonight is different. I now have the great privilege of standing on the other side of council chambers as an elected representative. The people of Ward 3 in Mount Albert and the rural community voted for change. Change guided by sound reasoning and responding to their practical needs. They voted for a new voice to ask tough questions, champion value for tax dollars, and ensure projects are built and investments are made in Mount Albert. They voted to build a more complete community. The banners of York Region's Character Matters hang here on the chamber's walls. The character trait that resonates most deeply with me as I begin my role as your representative is inclusiveness. It reads, "We will work to build a community where everyone feels included, empowered, and valued for his or her unique contributions." Having a strong and healthy council means respecting a variety of perspectives, opinions, and ideas. Each councillor has an equal vote and a unique contribution to make, and we all share a common passion to make a difference by working diligently for residents. There are people arriving daily in East Gwillimbury from many places, and they too have different perspectives. Everyone deserves excellent representation, whether they've lived here 2 months, 2 years, or their entire lives. I promise that your voice will be heard. I hope you also consider sharing your skills, talents, and experience with our municipality. Residents have many opportunities to participate and create a community that continues to evolve for the better. We are all connected. This became particularly apparent during the COVID pandemic. It reminded us of our shared outcomes and responsibilities for each other. The people of EG are our most valuable resource. I want to empower others to achieve the town's stated mission of encouraging new ideas, challenging the status quo, and working collaboratively. I look forward to working with fellow Ward 3 Councillor Scott Crone, Mayor HACKSON, and all town councillors and staff. I will continue to seek guidance and input from small business owners, seniors, emergency service workers, young families, and newcomers, as well as volunteers on town committees and local groups, to deliver on the priorities of our residents. I will make sure Mount Albert receives its fair share. I will make public safety and well-being the top priority. I will be transparent and accountable. I promise that everything I do will be in the best interests of Ward 3 and the great town of East Gwillimbury. A heartfelt thank you to everyone, and especially my incredible sons, Nicholas and Oliver, who supported me in my successful campaign. All of you for your time, your energy, and your words of kindness. Let's go forward together.
I do apologize when we have two people that were not on a daily basis running down the streets, two that had acclamations. I apologize. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and we may all be in trouble if I get the last word or close to the last word. Good evening to everyone, and I'm glad to see a lot of familiar faces in the room here tonight. I'm joined by my family, my wife Patty, son Ryan, and Danielle. I have to mention, Tara, when you said that we were going to foster some initiatives, I always get a kick out of when people say we're going to foster things, because it's a problem. But anyway, I really want to thank my council colleagues for a successful last term. I've learned a lot, and I'm certainly looking forward to the next term of council with this new council. I'll follow Tara's lead a little bit here by saying that I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the good work and support and insight that Kathy Morton, who is not here this evening, and Joe Persiccini have provided during their many years of service to the town of EG. These two people walk the walk, and I know that they'll continue to serve through other efforts. I'm committed to continue the work that has been performed by staff and council during the past term. We've had many successes, and we will continue to build on these as we plan the way forward. Success is, amongst other things, keeping control of growth and development in a fast-growing town and delivering projects on time and on budget. With our forever changing world and the Health and Active Living Plaza getting underway, coming out of the ground, we'll say, this challenge is going to be met head on by this council. How much fun we're going to have with that going forward, I'm not sure. It's a changing world for sure. Success is also having exciting businesses come to town, like the Woodbine One development of Loblaws that Mayor HACKSON mentioned earlier. And that's going to bring much needed jobs to East Gwillimbury. And council and staff worked very, very hard on that project to make sure that it went through as good as it did. And Tom Webster also, CAO. This all contributes to an exciting upcoming term of council, and who knows what the future is going to bring. And I'm honored again to be serving the residents of Ward 1 in all of East Gwillimbury. And I'm going to make it quick, Madam Mayor, because I know there's refreshments waiting.
We are now on item M, and that is our confirming bylaw for the evening. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-09, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the inaugural meeting of council held on November 15th, 2022, be taken as read and acted and signed by the mayor and municipal clerk. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Crone, Councillor Crothers, all those in favor? And that's carried. We're now on item N, which is the adjournment. Be it resolved that the inaugural meeting of council for the 2022 to 2026 term of office adjourn at 8:10 p.m. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Roy D. Clemente, Councillor Hay, all those in favor? And that is carried. And I will turn this over to our clerk. Finish off. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the departure of Mayor and members of council. At this point, I'm going to ask all members of council to proceed from this side of the dais as we begin with the lining, and the pipers will be exiting the chambers. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please join us in the atrium for some light refreshment.